All right, everybody, welcome back. Happy Monday. Boy, before we get into it, I just got to tell you, there was a press conference that Trump just did today. We're going to go in deep into this press conference. It was incredible. He did it from Mar-a-Lago. It was absolutely unbelievable. He made so much freaking news. We'll get into it a little bit later, but I want to do the whole show tomorrow. I want to take apart everything, all the reporters' questions, all, really tells you what the media is looking at, where they're coming from, by the way they ask their questions and what they are, and the way Trump answered them. I am promising you a full show tomorrow on that press conference alone, and we'll touch on some of the most important parts today, but I'll give you the whole thing tomorrow. Anyway, looks like Kamala Harris put the bottle down for, well, maybe at least a night. While she may never be coherent, she fortunately appeared to be sober a bit during her most recent remarks. The vice president is still speaking as if there's some sort of race to win for her. I don't know if she's catching what old Joe's got, or if she's simply been in an alcohol stupor-induced state of delusion for the past month, but someone needs to tell old Cammy that the race has already been won, and not by her.
Our spirit is not defeated. We are not defeated. Let's be clear about that. We are strong. We are clear about why we are in this. And because you're here right now, I say, again, thank you, because not only are you clear about all of that, you're willing to put in the hard work. And that work must continue. We cannot let any circumstance or situation or individual ever take away our power to know why we do what we do and our ability to then get that work done. And especially because we know what we stand for, and that's why we know what to fight for. We here believe in the promise of America.
Can someone tell Kamala she lost? And by the way, what the hell does that even mean, what she was saying? I guess what she's trying to say is she's not done. Every time this lady opens her mouth or makes a drunken on-camera appearance, we're reminded exactly why she lost in such an embarrassing fashion. And we wipe our brows saying, whew, that was close. All of the wokeness and the DEI advocates in the world weren't enough to get this lunatic elected, which brings me to the theme of today's rapid reaction. Society is slowly but surely recovering from the woke mind virus, and it may be soon extinct. Obviously, I've got plenty more to say about this, so let's rapidly react. Yeah, we've been talking about this. This is true. I said it. I mean it. Society, America especially, we're slowly recovering from the woke plague that we've suffered through for the past 4 years. The rabid left tried to jail Trump and failed. This was the first glimmer of hope for America. More recently, they tried to jail Daniel Penny, an American hero who likely saved dozens of people from a physical assault, if not more. And they fell flat on their face on the left yet again. Listen to newly elected Republican Congressman Brandon Gills talk about the needs of a society. Democrats, you may want to cover your ears for this one.
To be here all the way from North Texas. There we go, in the home in New York of the great patriot Daniel Penny. I don't know about y'all, but I think we need a lot more Daniel Pennies in this country, because we have far too many Jordan Neelys.
He's right. He's absolutely right. America sure as hell needs more Daniel Pennies, because we got plenty of Jordan Neelys. Fortunately, I believe in my heart that we're trending in the right direction thanks to Donald Trump's massive win. Just look at this picture right here. Daniel Penny, free of the legal burden that nearly ruined his life, standing next to Donald J. Trump. And actually, on the other side of Penny is Vance. It was an unbelievable moment. A man who survived the most vigorous legal attack in American history. Both of them, both of these patriots are smiling ear to ear, which has to be keeping Alvin Bragg up at night. We'll get to that in a second. Speaking of Alvin Bragg, isn't it sickening that all of America knows his name right now, Alvin Bragg? He's a district freaking attorney in New York, not the president. The fact that he has any national relevance or presence at all just speaks to how far he overstepped in his current role. People like Bragg or Fani Willis, Letitia James, these legal thugs, listen to me, thugs, I said it. Yeah, they're black, but I'm not saying they're thugs because they're black. They're legal thugs. They could be white. Cyrus Vance didn't do this. Alvin Bragg did it. They'll soon be bagging groceries, hopefully, or working at Walmart. Just watch. The mainstream media helped make these clowns relevant. They pushed lies about their authority and credibility and made them seem like social justice warriors or heroes for legally bullying a former president. Everyone knows they went too far. Even Van Jones. Van's a personal friend of mine. Van's a member of the mainstream media, the cult, CNN, but he happens to be the most sensible member. And he's calling out his fellow media minions for the relentless pursuit of our next president.
Every one of your people knows Elon. Listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody keeps, the problem is you have a framework in your mind that how can Donald Trump? Guys, can we cut it out? Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics. You know why we know? Because he has the White House, the Senate, the House.
Totally agree.
The popular vote. He has a massive media ecosystem bigger than the mainstream built around him and for him, and a religious fervor in a political movement around him. And his best buddy is the richest person in the history of the world, and the most relevant Kennedy is with him. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime. And we're still saying, well, how was this guy? We look like idiots to ordinary.
You're totally right.
Yeah, I'll take it one step further, Van. He's not the most powerful man walking the face of the earth in our lifetime. He might be the most powerful man ever to walk the face of the earth. The way he was resoundingly embraced by the American people and now the world. Van is actually one of the smarter members of the mainstream media militia. Unfortunately, his message a bit too late. His media peers decided to die on the Trump is an idiot hill and got nationally embarrassed and stripped of their credibility for doing so. I want to move on to one of our favorite groups, however, the transgender community. Let's quickly take a look at a recent meltdown from a, quote, and I'm quoting here, peaceful trans activist. Before I roll the clip, let me give you just a touch of context. The year right now, 2024, you have men with chest hair running around with signs and megaphones trying to convince the world that they can lactate. These over-medicated, hyper-liberal freaks think they can do whatever they want because they've been told they could by the liberal left for the last 4 years. They go on TikTok and cry about their rights and pretend to be the most oppressed people in America. Well, here's a quick clip that disproves pretty much everything they claim they are.
Person says, oh, look, a woman right? He does not accept. Excuse me. The sexualization of children will always be wrong. It will always be evil.
It's look at that, folks. I mean, if you're listening on radio, it's like trans, dude, just punching, being very violent. I thought these trans activists were supposed to be civil, right? That's what they said. That guy just walked right up to the reporter and punched him straight in the face. What happened to real men? The ones who played sports, went to war for the country, respected the flag. We should take all of these violent freaks and put them on some sort of island or a reservation. Let them live amongst themselves. You want to live that way? You want to have chest hair beaming out and beards and say you're a woman pretending you're pregnant? Knock yourself out. I don't give a shit. I'm a libertarian. Just don't do it with the kids. You touch the kids or you try to indoctrinate the kids, screw you. Throw you away. Throw you behind bars and throw away the key, you predators. And then what you guys can do? All you lunatics can get on this island, all you dudes, pretending you're women, because most of it that way. Not a lot of women are pretending to be men. It's mostly men pretending to be women. Well, you can elect some deranged predator leader who can set the rules exactly the way you want to. These people, freaks, I'm sorry, they're freaks, belong nowhere near our children, nowhere near our schools, nowhere near our gyms, nowhere near our playgrounds or sports fields with young people. Maybe that is what Trump will do when we inherit Canada. Throw them all in Canada. Just throw them up to Canada. Put up a big wall, though. Obviously, I believe in free speech and the truth, but this is where we are here, folks, right now. Unfortunately, other nations don't embrace the way we are thinking or the way I am suggesting. A man on Iceland is facing, in Iceland, facing some serious penalties for making the same points about the trans activists that I am today. Listen.
An activist in Iceland, Elder Christensen, chairman of Samtökin 22, a gender-critical organisation that supports single-sex spaces and opposes the medical transitioning of children, is being investigated by police over 7 posts he shared on Facebook and X, where he expressed criticism of male breastfeeding and the teaching of gender diversity to children. He's faced questioning by the police, and although not yet charged, his solicitors expect he will be charged.
Imagine going to jail for saying that dudes can't breastfeed. Now, let me try this. I'm Eric Bolling, right here on the Bolling Podcast on Monday, the 16th. Men can't breastfeed. Men can't get pregnant. I'm talking to you, Iceland. If I come to Iceland, you're going to arrest me? I'll post it. I mean it. It's my opinion. By the way, my opinion is based on biology and science, you freaks. But this is truly the direction America was heading. Believe it or not, we got lucky. Speaking of getting lucky, I started today's show with Kamala Harris's latest word salad. Old Joe Biden, also got in on the fun. While he did appear to make some sense, he slurred a bit more than usual. Maybe he got a hold of Kamala's bourbon. I'm not sure. Maybe Hunter's cocaine. By the way, can we just ask right now? Can we now know who left the cocaine in the White House now that he's leaving? Can they please, Secret Service, can you let us know whose cocaine that was? You know. I know you know. We all know you know. It's Hunter's, but how about you tell us now? Either way, listen to our current president talk about the future of his failed vice president.
I knew what I was doing, asked her to be my vice president. I knew her. I knew of her. I knew about her. I knew her record. I trusted her. She always served this country with purpose and integrity, and she always will. And you're not going anywhere, kid, because we're not going to let you go. Not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere, kid. What the hell? She got smoked in 2020. She had to drop out with less than 1% of the vote. She got destroyed by Trump. Where is she going? Where the hell is Kamala Harris going? You're going to run for president in 28 and give, Vance or DeSantis a walk, a cakewalk? Go for it. We'd love to see that. How about you go back to the freaks in California? You know what? You'd be perfect to take over for Gavin Newsom when he wants to run for president. He'll get the floor mopped with him, too, by Vance or DeSantis or either. Or better yet, Vance and DeSantis on the same ticket. How about them apples? By the way, VP Harris, her record sucked before you named her, Joe, your VP, and now it includes yet another failed presidential bid. As far as nationally, Kamala is done. He says she's not going anywhere. Well, I'd have to agree. The only time we ever see Kamala running again is if we happen to catch her dashing to the liquor store. Now, she may settle in as a senator again, California, I'm thinking. There have been rumors of her looming over the Supreme Court. Get out of town. But mark my words, Kamala Harris, national political influence is no longer a threat to our society. We can all thank Donald Trump for that. All right, folks. In 2021, Goya, great folks at Goya launched Goya Cares. It's a global initiative to protect children and educate children on mental health. Goya Cares is providing schools and community centers with a preventative education curriculum and a free assembly that includes the viewing of the Goya Cares movie called Press Pause. Press Pause is intended to raise awareness regarding mental health issues, abuse, and bullying, specifically among children and teens in our communities. Press Pause is an educational film following a young 15-year-old Sofia Rodriguez as she navigates adolescence, self-doubt, and an abusive relationship amid her parents' turbulent divorce, set within the cultural context of her Hispanic family. The film explores her discomfort with unwanted attention from her uncle and the pressures of maintaining a facade of perfection in high school. It introduces the Press Pause campaign promoting kindness and advocacy, highlighted by Sophia leaving a note saying, "You matter," for a bullied peer. The film encourages open family communication about mental health and culminates in Sophia's transformative realization of her right to seek help through the power of empathy and small acts of kindness. Press Pause displays the importance of being proactive in supporting one's community, underscores the critical importance of self-advocacy. All right, folks, time for today's Truth Bomb. All right, a Bolling Truth Bomb. I don't think we've done this yet. We're going to bring out the whiteboard. I'm going to bring it out because Joe Biden, let's talk a little pardons. Joe Biden has had a blast, recklessly waving his magic wand, pardoning all of his fellow political thugs before Trump comes in and holds them accountable. So let's compare old Joe to some of his presidential predecessors. And I put the whiteboard up, folks, for you not listening, listening on the radio. You got to check this out. Look at this. Let's start with modern times. Jimmy Carter pardoned 566. Then we dropped to Reagan, 406. Bush, 41, pardoned 200. Obama, look at that. It's jumped 1,927. Donald Trump, from 1,927 to Obama, Donald Trump only pardoned 237 people. This one is one that's going to kill you, folks. Joe Biden at the bottom right there. 8,062 pardons so far, and the man is not done yet. He's got a month left in office. 8,062 pardons so far. Folks, get this man out of the White House. Get the pardon power out of his hand, because who the hell knows who else he's going to pardon. We're going to get into that in just 1 second. Bolling Truth Bomb. All right, for every drone spotted, just assume one of the worst dregs of our society is being pardoned by Joe Biden. Like that saying, every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. Every time you see a drone, Joe Biden is pardoning a pedophile. You know how they say that when the company you are, the company you keep? Well, I think you are the pardons you give as a president. And if ever there was any doubt at all that Joe Biden is one of the most corrupt and morally bankrupt politicians in our history, you need only to look at who he pardons to understand just how much this man, Joe Biden, doesn't give two shits about America. But not just that, it's a bad man. Joe is a bad man. Joe Biden is pardoning some of the really, really bad people out there. Let's get into it. When we started this presidency in 2021, I know we all understood just how difficult it was going to be to get through the next 4 years. We knew what a disaster the Barack Obama presidency was, and this was the third term of Obama. And now his vice president and brother-in-arms, at the time his vice president, now brother-in-arms, had his turn. Those of us who knew and remember Biden's lying ways, his plagiarism, his corrupt ways, we knew. We covered it for years, but we never could have imagined the damage he would eventually do in so many areas, but one in particular, our trust. He destroyed our trust in the government. If ever there was an administration that embodied the phrase, what you heard, you did not hear, what you saw, you did not see, it's this one. It started right from Biden's first disasters of many, the withdrawal from Afghanistan. We watched it on television, on social media. The facts were all there for us to see, really inescapable. The chaos, the people hanging from plane hangars, even the planes themselves. They were holding on to that big airplane, remember? As it went down the runway trying to take off with all those people just trying to get out, holding on to the plane. The Taliban, armed with the weapons we left behind, rounding up their citizens. The explosions, the horrible, unavoidable terrorist attack that killed 13 U.S. servicemen and women. That was bad enough, and it was really bad. But what made it even worse was Jen Psaki circling back to lie after lie after lie, and the blatant finger pointing back and forth. Joe Biden knew. Joe Biden didn't know. Joe Biden was fully informed. The Pentagon left out information. No, says the Pentagon, everyone was fully informed. The State Department, the Pentagon, never mind all of that. It was Donald Trump's fault. Or how about COVID? Remember the pandemic fiasco? Masks must be worn everywhere. They work to stop the spread. Okay, well, they don't really work to stop the spread, but wear them anyway, everywhere. All right? Fine. They don't really work at all. But okay, now when these vaccines come, you all have to get them or you lose your jobs and you can't go anywhere. Got it? Or else maybe we'll place the unvaccinated in special camps. Jimmy Kimmel said if you're not vaccinated, you can't go to the emergency room in a hospital. Remember that? Nut job lunatic. Getting vaccinated stops the spread of the virus, they said. Period. Full stop, said Fauci. If you get vaccinated, you can't give it to anyone, and you won't get COVID. We promise. We swear. It's a fact. Science. Okay. You can still get COVID, but you get the virus, but you won't die. Okay. So to get the virus, you get the booster, or you won't be able to keep your job, or be able to travel, or go anywhere. Okay, got it? These people are a freaking joke. I know it's hard to believe that just those two things happened within the past 4 years. Unbelievable, but they have. And then some. The Biden presidency is without a doubt going to be going down as a stain on this country's history. That's a fact, full stop. But it's not about the disasters themselves. It's about the red thread that weaves through all of it. And this is the total erosion of our trust. There's just none left. Zero. Bone on bone, so to speak. No cartilage left in between. The lie, the constant deflections. Watching Jen Psaki, Corinne Jean-Pierre, Jake Sullivan lie to us. Every single liar and lie on behalf of the White House, trying to squirm their way out of disaster after disaster that they created themselves. And then, to add insult to injury, watching the mainstream media carry freaking water for these people, covering for them. And then think about what we found out, that the Democrats did spy on the Trump campaign, that the Hunter Biden laptop was not only real, but that several government agencies worked together with the private sector, social media, to cover it all up. We were lied to at every turn by those who worked for us, who are supposed to be on our team, on our side. It's absolutely maddening, and more. When conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory turns out to be true, you know, there is just nothing left in the trust of the establishment. When the ones who know the truth do everything in their power to stop us from knowing the truth, you know, there's just nothing left of that rock of trust. It's totally eroded to nothing. Someone with even the tiniest sliver of trust left might suggest that Joe Biden is playing to the sympathy when he carries out some of the last-minute bullshit he's pushing through in his final weeks in the White House. We're supposed to feel sorry for the old fart who got pushed out by the DEI hire by those who once propped him up despite knowing that he was a withering degenerate. Maybe he's not such a bad guy after all, right? Right? Putting on that MAGA hat and smiling, battling the sand at the beach, falling asleep at a summit in Africa. Aw, poor Joe. Folks, he's the guy who rides the trains and says racist shit because he's an old, bumbling, racist SOB. He's a bad guy. He is a bad guy, a really bad guy. And if you're who you pardon, remember we said this, a president is who they pardon, then some of those on his pardon list show you exactly who the real Joe Biden is, in case there's ever any doubt.
This past week, he had this record number of commutations, 1,500 Americans, more than any president in any single day. Among them, though, there was a judge involved in a so-called Cash for Kids scheme that sent thousands of kids to jail for millions of dollars. A man who committed tax fraud at a cost of more than $1.6 billion, described as the most prolific, pernicious, utterly unrepented tax cheat in U.S. history. A woman who was involved in a $26 million scheme to defraud Medicare. Are you comfortable with some of these decisions?
No. There's also a man in Duluth that was running a major drug house, basically, and had all this money under his bathroom tiles, was also commuted. So the way I look at this is I also didn't agree with the pardon of the president's son.
So amid those 8,062 pardons so far, with a month left to go, there's some really, really bad people at Joe Biden's pardon. Really bad people. Specifically that guy, that one that the judge who's taking money to throw kids in jail. You know it's bad when even the leftist machine, the liberal leftist media machine, is at a loss. So what is it? What could possibly possess Joe Biden to commute sentences for people who've carried out pure evil? Why on earth would Joe Biden pardon a Chinese national in jail for possessing 47,000 child porn images? Why would you, I'll say it again, why would Joe Biden pardon a guy in jail for possessing 47,000 child porn images other than the fact that he's a Chinese national? Is Joe just being a good little Chinese soldier, perhaps? Could it be that the Chinese Communist Party knows things, has a lot of very damaging information about the Biden crime family that we, more so than we could even have imagined? Maybe. Has the Democrat Party forgotten that there are still selections to be held in the future? Why isn't there more uproar over the fact that Joe Biden is not only protecting a Chinese national, but one who is a clear pedophile? 47,000 images of children, child porn. And he got pardoned? He should be pardoned. He should be burned at the stake. Or how about this winner, the big guy pardoned? Mira Shaktiva, who defrauded cancer patients out of $8.2 million by diluting their chemo treatments. He literally diluted chemo and delivered it into cancer patients. What message is Joe Biden sending Americans with that particular pardon? What in the world could cause a pardon for that guy? What exactly is he trying to say here? Joe Biden was deemed to be mentally unfit to stand trial, according to Robert Hur and the DOJ. Special Prosecutor Robert Hur and the DOJ called him an elderly man with a poor memory, and yet they continue to allow this elderly man with a poor memory, they allow him to do things like this. I don't know. Send billions of dollars overseas, authorize our missiles to be sent into the middle of Russia, 200 miles in, pardon his own son, Hunter Biden, for 11 years of crime when he said he wasn't going to, pardon Chinese spies with 47,000 files of child pornography on their computers, and commute sentences of 1,500 criminals. Just let him do that and nothing, no return. As Biden's term winds down, we're seeing his true character. You are who you pardon. January 6 committee members are praying for pardons. The people who put those people, January 6ers, in jail. They're praying for pardons for things they've been charged with. Fannie Willis, his lover, finally crawls out of hiding and admits, get this, yesterday he admitted to meeting with the Biden-Harris White House before going after President Trump. That's lawfare. I mean, holy crap, Biden keeps on pardoning the worst of the worst. But meanwhile, January 6 prisoners who did not assault cops or destroy property are still locked up, some of them in the worst conditions possible. Joe Biden is selling unused parts of the border wall instead of leaving it to be used by Trump, saving taxpayer money. But he's selling it off for pennies on the dollar or less. A Biden-Harris operative posing as a journalist. Yes, George Stephanopoulos. We're for Bill and Hillary Clinton. We're for both of them. Well, he, tail between his legs, had to apologize, and the network, the biased network he worked for, ABC, had to pay Trump $15 million for defamation. Billions being sent across our globe to help other countries as Americans still struggle by Joe Biden. So much being exposed as the worst president in our history while he's leaving. This man's legacy is a rolling dumpster fire in a dry forest. If there wasn't enough trust lost over the past 4 years, these pardons are doing the final dirty work to completely undermine any trust in the presidency left whatsoever. The loss of trust is also leading to the panic we're seeing of these unidentified objects flying over our heads because Americans no longer place trust in our so-called authority. We don't believe a word they say, ever. Are they drones? Are they ours? Are they theirs? No one in Washington seems to be able to convincingly explain or choose to explain the sightings. They don't seem to be willing to tell us the truth. Americans are confused and worried, and yet their answer to sightings of drones and flying objects is to say, well, you're not actually seeing what you think you're seeing. No more explanation. I mean, seriously, these people have learned nothing. It's not one or two, it's dozens, maybe hundreds. They're being seen in different places. Why isn't the president, the commander-in-chief, coming out with anything to calm the fears. Well, is it because they're not even telling him? What's going on? Possible. I don't know. Is it likely? Who knows? Is he too busy giving pedophiles pardons like candy to even notice what's going on? They shut down a New York City airport. They closed a New York City airport. And still, not a word to say to the American people about it. While Independence Day flies over our heads, the who's who of perpetual liars were making their Sunday show rounds. And I'm talking at you, Alejandro Mayorkas. And all he has to say is, I have no idea what you're talking about, says Alejandro Mayorkas. By the way, the same guy who said the border was closed before 10 million illegals crossed the border. Americans are walking around thinking, are they coming from China, Iran, Russia? And yet nothing. A New Jersey State Senator, John Bramnick, insinuated that there must be something so bad and so scary going on that they're afraid to tell us the truth for fear of how we might react. Panic, uproar. I mean, it's how deep the suspicions are and how distrust we have for the people making the decisions. And you have Joe Biden and his minions to thank for that mistrust. It's on them that the conspiracy theories are filling the air just as much as the drones do. One option is to ignore those theories whatsoever. But that's just not the world we live in anymore. Thanks to Joe Biden and the comrades and their incessant lies. Inflation is transient. It's not really here, folks. The border is closed. There are not really 10 million illegals coming across the border. Those things flying over New Jersey, don't worry about them. It's nothing to worry about. The Biden administration has squandered its credibility to the point that it's rational not to believe anything they say. Remember that Chinese spy balloon that traveled across the continental United States? They swore up and down it was nothing for the first 2 or 3 days, only to then admit it was something and shot it down, and it turned out to be a Chinese spy balloon. The Biden administration lied for months about migrant flights from border cities, from the border to our cities. For months, they covered up the truth about Biden's degenerative state. They lied. They censored differing views on COVID shutdowns and vaccines. They lied again. So this panic is a product of their own lying. The more Americans don't trust their own government, the more panic and protests are likely to happen. See how it works? You know, more than a dozen congressional Democrats are now planning to boycott and skip President Donald Trump's inauguration, presumably for the same reasons Democrats lost the election so handily. Because of the lies they tell and believe that somehow Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy, which, of course, he's not. They would probably be best served by taking a long, hard, and honest look at the head of their own party, who not only condones corruption and violence through his own policies and actions, but is also handing out pardons and forgiveness to those who perpetuate all of the above. Okay, folks, a little update. On Friday, we talked about this. I think this is amazing. Let's call it the Best Actor Oscar goes to Syrian terrorizer number 25, Salama Mohammed Salama. Great name, by the way. So Salama has multiple talents, including torturing innocent civilians on behalf of Bashar al-Assad and the Syrian government, as well as pretending to be a Syrian prisoner who just found out his boss's regime has been toppled. And the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress goes to CNN reporter Clarissa Ward. And the award for the producer, director, and just total arbiter of perpetual bullshit goes to CNN. The winner, once again. We called bullshit on CNN on Friday. And well, it wasn't just bullshit. Pulling a so-called Syrian prisoner out who hasn't seen the light of day in months, is what they said, and yet has perfectly manicured hands and hair. CNN, tanking miserably in the ratings, wanted so badly for us to believe that they witnessed a Syrian prisoner being freed from a secret prison, Damascus in Syria, after 3 months that they forgot to put a little dirt under those nails. What they had washed and hoped would be a PR golden goose for them and CNN turned out to be the most ridiculous disaster PR nightmare. And really, it couldn't happen to a better bunch of people. Just to make the embarrassment that much sweeter, here's Jake Tapper relishing in the confirmed BS report.
Another just absolutely remarkable report. CNN's Clarissa Ward in Damascus doing vital journalism. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was so remarkable. It was wrong. It was a lie. It was a setup. It was a fake. Turns out they were inadvertently giving cover to a war criminal. Oh, how CNN of you. Well, at least it gives us a tiny bit of solace to know that there's consistency there. The communists' new network, CNN, is garbage at journalism, no matter what the story might be. All right, before we go, I want you to know, tomorrow, listen to this.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went.
So, as I said earlier in the show, Trump did a press conference today. It was wild. It was more than an hour. It was phenomenal. Reporters asking tons of questions. Really gives an insight of what he's thinking about now and what he's thinking about going forward. Fascinating. So, and we didn't have time to put this together for today's show, but I promise you tomorrow's show will be all clips from that press conference because, boy, Trump made a lot of news. And we'll give you the analysis of it right afterwards because there is a lot there, folks. So I look forward to doing this with you tomorrow. Please stick around, watch tonight. Hit subscribe wherever you are. If you're on a podcast, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Rumble, it doesn't matter, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, just hit subscribe because tomorrow you're really going to want to break this down. You will get a glimpse into what the next 4 years will be all about. That's tomorrow on Bowling. As with tonight, out, Bowling out. See you tomorrow.